AI is a very broad term. It's like the word transportation. It's everything for sitting on a donkey in your Greek holiday. I had a very good team I left behind, younger than me, so late 30s, early 40s, more.
So you're like 25 or something, yeah.
And some months. You go back to the developers of the AI now. We don't know why it does that. You know how to turn this thing off, right? Don't you?
It's the aliens.
So many people in my team say, Ellie, you need to say thank you to the AI because they will take over at the end of my sentences. I must say, I think maybe my experience has gotten a little bit nicer.
Yeah. I believe that.
So using ChatGPT.
Yeah, and Claude. And then I have to say there is a lot of still learning to be done. We touched on how far.
How do you find out about them without like a sales guy or someone telling you about it?
This is the key point. Back in August, when I was thinking, right, I need to get my head around AI, I naively thought there's probably about half a dozen AIs. I knew about ChatGPT, I knew about Gemini, I knew about Claude, I knew about Midjourney, I knew about DALL-E from an image exploitation, and there's Runway as well for video.
Yeah.
So I signed up for a lot of webinars, I signed up for a lot of email newsletters, and I was hit with this tsunami of, there's no other way to describe this complete deluge and overload of information. One of the newsletters I get every week really starts with the headline, 80 new AIs you need to know this week, or 100.
What newsletter is that?
I have to tell the number.
It's
80,
called There's an AI for that. There are websites now that you can go in and ask for AIs to help you.
And there's an entire list. It's overwhelming.
Yeah,
exactly. And then there's, on top of that, there's all the stuff around the funding and it's just, there is a daily, and I was like, if you want a full-time job, how are you meant to get your head around all this? Nick Darby, I'd worked with at Clark's. I met him for a beer, and I said, Nick, I think we probably need to do a podcast about this because I'm really struggling to get my head around this. I can't be the only one who. Yeah,
totally.
This is
so. What are the big things you've learned from the podcast episode so far that you could give us some nuggets of info for the listeners?
I think every episode has been illuminating, and I was saying before we hit record, my position in this podcast is Simon Sinek's Idiot in the Room. So I don't know if you've watched
information gather.
But I saw this video probably over the summer, and he's very frank. He talks about this time when he was running his agency in New York, and he was invited into this big C-suite presentation by these consultants, and it's like, you basically sit there but don't say anything. 5-10 minutes in, he's like, I don't follow this. This doesn't make sense to me. So tentatively puts his hand up and says, I'm really sorry to interrupt. I know I'm not meant to, but you're saying A plus B equals C, but surely it means D or E. And they're like, oh, well, yeah. They sort of dismiss him, brush him aside. 5 minutes goes by, he's like, it's still not making any sense. Sorry, hand up again. Same. It's like, but you're still saying this, but doesn't it mean that? And they're like, no.
But that's good you're asking those questions.
Well, the third time he did it, another member of the C-suite put their hand up and said, you know what? I'm not following this either. You're going to have to rewind and just tell me what's going on. And that's, he says, you've got to be the idiot in the room. Be brave enough.
Most people have
to say, I don't. And Andy Tarnai, who was the first guest we had on the podcast, really classic blue chip marketer career. Started, 20 plus years ago in SmithKline Beecham, grad scheme all the way through into sort of regional and international global marketing roles. And he shared that 20 years ago when he would sit in the marketing meetings with his digital team or the digital agency, he only understood about 50% of what was going on. But he just didn't feel as the most important person in the room, he didn't feel he could put his hand up and ask them because he just felt he didn't want to betray and lose that face. And I think now we absolutely have to, and that I'm very happy for that to be me. So but we have to ask those questions.
I think it's going to be more like that.
And I'd say the other thing, Jack, that I think was so fundamental in we need to do this was actually out of the work you've done with the digital leaders community, which is just, I think, really fabulous, the way that has shown that marketers will support each other.
And they want to learn.
But I think
shameless plug.
We're very easy. Jobs are tough, careers are hard and highly competitive.
I know.
You want to keep that proprietary knowledge to yourself.
Totally.
And firstly, the DLC is fantastic because you can go in there and any question, people will come back and try and help you out.
No one judges you.
No, they don't.
He's awesome. And Jack has worked very hard at that community, so if you're listening, you cannot get in unless you work hard to get in there.
It is invite only.
It is invite only.
It is, but it's... And so I was like, I think this is going to be so transformative for marketing as a profession that we have to be in it together.
But
we have to own this.
Yeah.
I am fundamentally of the mindset that has to be human and marketer-led.
Yeah.
And we have to be in the loop and we have to be in the driving seat because... there's a real, in your newsletter this morning, there's a point around cognitive, that ability for critical thinking already, is showing that if you just entirely rely on what the AI is telling you, you are going to lose that ability to think critically.
But then I think at the moment it's affecting even me sometimes when I'm like, you know how we would all usually write a long email to someone? And now I don't think, but I even have, and I did a poll this week on LinkedIn about it, is everyone hates a long email these days because it's inefficient.
You can't read it.
And you just call me about it.
Max.
2 sentences. So even then, I actually sometimes am like, I'm just going to call this person instead and just get a budget approved, and they say yes. And I'm like, but you used to have to do an enormous email for it. But even if I was to write that email now, I'd ask it to write it for me. And then I'm like, well, they just know that I've used ChatGPT.
Well, then you can get Gemini to read it for you.
I know, exactly.
And then where are we now? No, +1 for the return of the phone call. Trevor Pickett, who I'm working with, is very much, he likes just to pick up the phone and call you. It's a lot quicker.
I know.
Who knew that existed in all your iPhone functionality? You could speak to people.
It's so funny, but then everyone hated the calls and everyone hates a Zoom, and then there's a certain thing and you've got to find the right thing to, oh my God, it is mind-blowing. But back to the point of you ask so many things now. My team, I just say maybe just ask ChatGPT that question.
Yeah, but AI doesn't have the ability to have emotional intelligence, which is why you still need the human.
It's getting pretty close,
especially as a leader as well, though, because that's half of the battle, isn't it? Having the emotional intelligence to manage people, work with people, get people on the journey. Because I think that's what we were talking about as well, especially if you're working with founders. It's sort of encouraging them to come on the journey with you instead of sort of going in and say, right, I'm going to absolutely change everything and this is how we're going to do it.
Trevor had a previous marketing manager who I think just used AI and cut and pasted it into his or her emails and so on. And he didn't like that. He could spot immediately this was
I've
not
done
just
it
kind
too,
of cringe.
honestly.
Just seeing it going
and
out.
so I worked sat next to him. Look, we need some lines here, and just showed him that it's a very good starting point. If you've got half an idea, throw it in and see what comes out, and you can normally help refine that.
Brainstorm.
Brainstorm. That's the word.
Okay, so I need some, sorry, there we go. I need some name and shame kind of platforms you were like waste of time that you think I didn't like it.
Which AI tools
we like to name and shame.
That is very difficult.
I know. I would say I'm happy to name and shame some.
I don't know whether you swear on this platform, but I think
you can swear on here.
Okay, well, I mean, shit in, shit out is something I hear a lot on the podcast, and I think that's fair enough, and certainly in my own use, that's probably what's happening. It's
that makes sense.
My efforts to get AI to manage my diary for me and block out chunks of time, so I'm able to focus in the right areas on different projects. That classic stuff that's always been a challenge for anyone who's trying to spin more than one plate at a time.
Yeah.
I've really failed at that. But the ability for it to then help me really accelerate and elevate my own efficiency with my own time, particularly when it's, your own time is your own money now, is very, very still a work in progress.
I think one that's good that came out is Microsoft Clarity, which is like so essentially it's like GA, but GA should have done this. Google Analytics should have done this ages ago. I had a client today who I was just teaching about Microsoft Clarity and talking about it, and essentially it looks at all your websites. So one of them was a beauty brand, and it looked at the whole website, does all the heat maps, and then you just press AI summarize all the data, because you've got to interpret all this data. Like when you go into analytics, you spend like hours in there. It just says summary, and it says the 4 things from all the heat maps is you need to fix your product page. People are spending too much time on there. You need to fix this thing. You need to fix, and it tells you every bit of data and just summarizes it. And I was like, that is amazing. Okay. Because then you would have spent hours going through the heat map. Where are they clicking per page? And it just said, in summary, 90% of people are getting to this page and leaving. You need to fix this page. Your mobile things. And I just did it all this morning, and I was like, that's just saved you, like, honestly, an entire day. So I thought that was Microsoft Clarity. The fact that they've come out, Microsoft is really coming out with some
Microsoft have one of the main guys from DeepMind. The main guy who founded DeepMind, so he's over there at Microsoft.
I know, we all thought Microsoft would never come back. And
no, well, I mean,
he's really pushing the AI.
Copilot's already embedded. It's expensive. I mean, that's the other thing.
Yeah, how much is it?
Well, how much is it?
Well, now they've increased
I think it's
a few £100 a month per
user.
Well,
I think it can be £40 a head.
Okay, a head in a business that
a month,
huge.
It's interesting. That's a.
Then you got ChatGPT, and now ChatGPT, the price of ChatGPT's gone up.
I mean,
I play whack-a-mole with subscriptions because I just every month I'm like, how much money on subscriptions? And then you go to the company and you try and prune them out, and then there's so many ones. Then you come back in again because you missed some, or you were still on the free trial.
Any other ones that you like that you were on recently?
I mean, I had the ChatGPT. I've kind of thinking now I'm going to switch my allegiance over to Claude, just simply because I find I get a more human level of response.
You like the human level response. I want to be friends with mine, so that's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm going to check Claude out, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm going to say thank you.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah,
so
I want to plug one. So it's one that we've just recently partnered with the DLC called Ocular.
Oh,
Have you did you see the link? Ocular.
Not yet. No,
it's pretty cool. So basically, they write product descriptions. So if you've got like thousands of SKUs,
yes,
it's an AI tool that will tap into the tone of voice.
Yeah,
it will make it SEO optimized and help with conversion. So and then it just basically it's cost effective, and then you can just get rid of. Well, it's doing us out with job as recruiters, just getting rid of all the copywriters and content people. But I think that's where it's going, because I speak to a lot of social media people and content people, and they're actually scared about that AI.
Yeah, but the copy thing, I mean, ChatGPT and all those tools are great for the copy side messaging. But even then, when my team use it, we've got to go through it, we've got to change it.
Yeah, and that's important.
And I'm like, it takes a lot of time. Of course, you can get it to a right tone, but even now, you've still got to go through the whole, and you've got to make sure it's perfect and like
change it
like
up.
you said, it's all about the brand storytelling. So it's not going to tell it like the founder is, and unless you've got like, in agencies like for us, we work on like 25 clients. They've all got different brand tone messaging. It's not going to be the same with ChatGPT,
But I think like we have been saying, where are the copywriter roles? Where are the SEO roles? So do you feel that now it's just a given that as part of anyone's role, you have to almost, especially at leadership level, you have to be an AI specialist as well? Like that is the new... Because it went into social media. You didn't have paid social.
I think that's a really big ask at this
point
in time. Okay. I think really at this point in time, we clearly need to have a strategy, and I think one of it's not live yet, but we did a recording last week with Aaron Cody Boucher, who's also in the digital lead.
Aaron's cool.
Nice, he's been working as a fractional CMO. He's got a huge amount of e-commerce experience, and he made this point right at the beginning. He's like, it's all very well, what AI is a very broad term. It's like the word transportation. It's everything for sitting on,
oh my God, I agree,
sitting on a donkey in your Greek holiday, or on a beach in Spain, all the way through to a jetliner. And it is that broad.
Yeah. I like that.
But he also said you need to understand that AI is now embedded in a lot of tools. All you're using as part of your text.
Most of them are AI tech stack.
Salesforce has AI tools in it. All the Google Suite have AI tools in it. Your team are already probably starting to use or have been using for a while ChatGPT. So you need to get ahead of that. You need to, and he makes the point first and foremost, know where the data's going. Because your team on a Friday afternoon have been briefed we've got to launch this product in Spain, and gone in and like, what's the beauty market in Spain, and that AI will be learning, and the next time your competitor's doing what's my competitor up to, they're about to launch in Spain.
I think
you really, and that's where you need those consultants to come in.
That's
the very key point from Nick Darby is that you need someone to make sure it's fairly straightforward to make sure you have those guards in place so that your data isn't.
I don't think a lot of places have them though.
But a lot of places may not know that.
Lawyers
or maybe
are just
slow
like gearing
to think,
up at the moment.
Just because your CTO is like, look, I've got enough on my plate at the moment. I haven't got time to think about this right now because it's a very big area.
Yeah,
it is happening right now. So
I think regulation around data and uploading company documents and all that to AI, it's a bit of a problem.
When DeepSeek came out, the Chinese...
DeepSeek, that's the name I was thinking about, before.
Well,
that's like the ones that a lot of law firms use, like a lot of people use.
There was a lawyer in a couple of weeks ago, that the law firm that said, right, everyone stop using AI now, because they managed to track, already like tens of thousands of
so for all the documents, they're using it.
I mean, it's one of the industries
it's really bad. I mean, you can't be uploading company documents.
Contracts.
Oh, even, the whole legal contracts.
That's why my partners works at a bank, and they had to build their own for privacy regulation, like they have to.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing he always mentioned is they used to always, like, the juniors would just write the papers for like a modeling piece or a research piece. Now they just all put it in AI. They haven't learnt the fundamental skills of building a paper, like, writing a report.
Yeah.
So they have to do that. This is what's like
a really fundamental
You've got
point.
to have that
how
pen
do you
and
learn
paper
the
stuff
role
still.
to get that? How do you learn to be able to have that critical thinking that is still absolutely fundamental?
I think there's not a solution
when
yet
you
for
get
it.
there isn't.
There's no like training that people have thought that actually it's better we teach our teams this way and then also complement it with this. But anyway,
I agree, and I think that again, you talk about teams. That was one of the considerations I had when I started all this. Is I had a very good team I left behind, younger than me, so late 30s, early 40s, in that full sort of starting out with kids, mortgages.
So you're like 25 or something,
and some months, 39. I can't even do the math. But I was like, who's preparing them for this world? I used to say, you've got to be on the front foot, know your numbers, you've got to own your career. It's not, don't just sit there, they know where's my next training plan and where's my next promotion in 2 years. And
but you're learning on the job.
Sticks with you.
You're learning on the job pretty much.
Yeah. But if no one is encouraging and saying, okay, empowering them to do that,
it's difficult, isn't it?
It's really difficult.
And AI can't do that.
No.
AI can't do that. AI.
I know you keep
say
saying
enough.
EA. I'm like, not any more tools, thanks. So we want to do the 60 spit fire round of questions.
Yeah. So, 60-second Q&A.
Whatever comes to your head.
Mm-hmm. Let me bring it up.
Jack knows them. You haven't named and shamed any tools yet. You've just said you like ChatGPT so far.
I did say that I've cancelled my subscription to ChatGPT.
Oh, you've cancelled it.
And I think I have said that it had really failed. I have cancelled it because
okay. That's a huge one.
I just found it very, very frustrating to actually get from the tantalizing promised land of it being able to absolutely transform my ability to analyze data, to produce marketing reports in a split second. You know, when I started working with Pickett, you can generate all these reports in Shopify. But I want to make some sense. What are the trends? You know, where are there areas that we immediately need to look at? And you spat out a few rather rudimentary and pathetic spreadsheets.
Rude.
And it may be me, but I just, I don't know. I just found that very frustrating. And so I'm at very early stages, but
okay, cool.
I'm going to go and try out Claude because he's funnier.
So let's do the 60 seconds Q&A.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be quick.
Yeah.
Because some of these could be a little bit longer for answers, but we'll go for it.
Yeah.
So, what's the most important trend in digital marketing right now?
Well, it is. I think I'm going to have to say AI.
Oh,
AI.
don't. Okay, yep, next.
What's one digital tool you can't live without?
I would say Claude.
Claude?
Yeah.
Nice.
What's the biggest challenge in digital marketing today?
AI. I mean,
AI.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with the ever-changing digital landscape?
That is,
AI.
I am very lucky. I invite people who know about it onto my podcast, and I can ask them questions.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a plug, what's the podcast called?
It's called the Marketing and AI Podcast, The Map.
Nice.
To help marketers
like
navigate this AI future.
Another marketing abbreviation.
Yes, thank you.
Bring it into the mix.
To bring that in.
If you had to pick one platform to market on, which one would it be?
One platform to market on.
So, Google ads, paid search, Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Shopping ads. What do you think? You work in luxury e-com a bit as well.
I mean, email still has
email.
Email and SMS.
I do love a good email.
Well,
if I was a marketer, I would start an email.
Of course you do. You send emails every week.
Once you've acquired that customer, it's an absolute no-brainer.
Okay.
You absolutely should be known.
What's one mistake most brands make in their marketing strategy?
They overlook their brand strategy for the sake of short-term business goals.
Nice.
Like that. Yeah.
Long-form content or short-form content? Which one wins your heart?
Well, I think for me, both, but I totally recognise that we have an age of very short attention spans. I'm as guilty of that as anyone, and get to the point, you know.
Get to the point. Come on, get to the point, everyone.
Influencer marketing, hit or miss?
So again, sorry, Jan.
Influencer marketing, hit or miss?
That's a very good question as well, because personally, I've been quite resistant to influencer marketing, but I'd also recognise there are people out there whose opinions I greatly value. So I think, it's a massive hit. I think that peer-to-peer endorsement is hugely valuable.
Nice.
Next one, what's the most underrated marketing channel?
The most underrated marketing channel.
Which doesn't get a lot of love, a lot of praise.
Maybe.
Out of home?
Oh, yes, that's true. That's
okay, paid ads or organic reach, which do you prefer?
God, that's a good question as well, because I would always have said paid, because SEO is its whole wild west, but now I'm having to get my head around SEO. Organic. I'm like, wow. This is absolutely fundamental. Do you know, they tend to be a bit like Fox Mulder sat in the corner of the room.
They need to be together now.
I would strongly suggest know how SEO works.
Yeah.
Do you secretly stalk your competitors' ads to see if they're better than yours?
Yeah.
Of course. What else are you doing?
Yeah. And then Google ads or Facebook ads, which do you prefer?
Would you say Meta ads, including Instagram ads?
Yeah.
And then I would definitely go for that.
Okay.
Like it.
All right, nice.
Good questions. Cool. Thank you very much for coming to the podcast.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been really, really good. And so if you're not signed up to our podcast, guys, check us out on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, sign up to our email, sponsored by Kinsman and Blu Digital.
Nice.
But again, thanks a lot, Hal.
Thank you so much for having me.
So
it's been
good.
an absolute
Thanks to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks to have you.